Have you ever wondered why certain numbers seem to follow you through life? Why you're drawn to specific patterns, why certain dates feel significant, why some people just get you while others feel like they're speaking a foreign language? Carl Jung discovered something that the scientific community tried to bury for decades. Something so profound about human consciousness that it challenges everything we believe about identity, destiny, and the invisible forces that shape our lives. Here's what no one tells you. The first digit of your birth month, that single number, carries an archetypal blueprint that Jung called the numerical shadow. It's not astrology. It's not numerology. It's something far more disturbing and far more accurate. You know that feeling when you meet someone and instantly know whether you'll connect or clash. You know that strange sensation when certain numbers just feel right? When you unconsciously gravitate toward the same digit patterns throughout your life. What if I told you that Jung's research revealed this isn't coincidence? It's your psyche recognizing its own archetypal frequency. That every person born in months starting with the same digit shares a specific psychological pattern that determines how they love, how they fail, how they find meaning, and how they ultimately transform. The truth is, most people spend their entire lives fighting against their archetypal nature instead of understanding it. They wonder why they keep attracting the same relationship patterns, why they feel empty despite success, why they can't seem to break free from invisible limitations. But once you understand your numerical archetype, once you see the psychological blueprint that's been running your life, everything changes. The people who ignore this knowledge stay trapped in cycles. The ones who embrace it, they unlock a level of self-understanding that transforms not just how they see themselves, but how they navigate every relationship, every decision, every moment of their existence. Jung spent 40 years researching this. His findings were so revolutionary that they were kept from the public. Until now. If you're ready to discover the archetypal truth that's been hidden from you, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what you're about to learn isn't just information. It's a key to understanding the deepest patterns of your psychological DNA. Let's destroy the first lie you've been told about personality. You've been conditioned to believe that personality is either genetic or learned. Nature versus nurture. But Jung discovered something that shatters this false dichotomy entirely. You're not crazy for feeling like there's something deeper guiding your life. You're not imagining the invisible threads that connect you to certain people while repelling you from others. Your instincts are correct. There is a hidden order to psychological reality. Jung's research into what he called archetypal numerology revealed that consciousness itself follows mathematical patterns. The collective unconscious, that shared reservoir of human experience, expresses itself through numerical frequencies that most people never recognize. Haven't you noticed how people born in January, October, November, and December, all months beginning with 1, share an almost eerie similarity in how they approach life? How they lead, how they isolate, how they carry the strange burden of being different. Or how those born in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, and September, months beginning with other digits, seem to fall into distinct psychological clusters that have nothing to do with their zodiac signs. People like us, those sensitive enough to recognize these patterns, have always known something was missing from conventional psychology. We felt the gap between what we're told about human nature and what we actually observe. Here's the truth that Jung discovered. Your birth month's first digit corresponds to one of 9 archetypal patterns that determine your core psychological frequency. It's not that the number causes anything, it's that your soul chose to incarnate at a time when the collective unconscious was expressing that particular archetypal energy. This is why you can meet someone and instantly know they're your people, or not your people. You're recognizing archetypal resonance or dissonance. If you've ever felt this inexplicable recognition with certain people while feeling completely disconnected from others, hit that like button. You're about to understand why. Jung called this archetypal synchronicity, the tendency for people with matching numerical frequencies to find each other across time and space. It's why certain relationships feel like coming home while others feel like speaking different languages. But here's where it gets disturbing. Most people are completely unconscious of their archetypal pattern. They're living out their numerical blueprint without any awareness, which means they're trapped in predictable cycles of behavior, attraction, and failure. The people who understand their archetypal number, they gain access to a level of psychological power that seems almost supernatural to others. They know exactly who they're compatible with, what environments will nurture or drain them, and how to transform their deepest shadows into their greatest strengths. Let's start with the most complex and misunderstood archetypal pattern. Those born in months beginning with 1. If you were born in January, October, November, or December, you carry what Jung called the individuator archetype. This is the rarest and most challenging psychological pattern, and it explains everything about why your life has felt so different from everyone else's. You know that feeling of being simultaneously drawn to leadership and repelled by groups? That strange combination of confidence and deep loneliness? That sense that you're meant for something significant but can't quite grasp what? The individuator archetype is the pattern of the psychological pioneer. Jung found that people with this numerical frequency are born to break new ground in human consciousness, but the price is profound isolation during the development phase. Research shows that individuators have heightened activity in the default mode network, the brain region responsible for self-reflection and meaning-making. You literally think differently than most people. Your brain is wired for pattern recognition at a level that can feel overwhelming. From an evolutionary perspective, individuators serve as the species scouts. You're psychologically designed to venture into unexplored territories of thought and experience, then return with new insights for the collective. But here's what changes everything. Once you understand that your isolation isn't a flaw, it's a feature, you can stop trying to fit into groups and start embracing your role as a psychological innovator. The shadow side of the individuator pattern is the tendency toward grandiosity and disconnection. You might find yourself thinking you're superior to others, or alternatively feeling like a complete fraud. Both are expressions of the same archetypal tension. People like us, individuators, often struggle with intimate relationships because we're unconsciously seeking someone who can match our psychological intensity. We end up in relationships with people who either worship us or challenge us, rarely finding true equals. Jung observed that individuators are drawn to what he called archetypal love, relationships that feel destined, cosmic, transformative. You don't just date people, you have soul encounters that either elevate both of you or destroy one of you. Haven't you noticed how you seem to attract intense people? How your relationships tend to be brief but profound? How you can't seem to do anything halfway? If you're an individuator, here's your first step toward psychological integration. Stop apologizing for your intensity. Stop trying to dim your light to make others comfortable. Your depth isn't too much, it's your gift to the world. But that's just the beginning. Each archetypal pattern has specific relationship compatibility codes, career paths that will fulfill versus drain you, and shadow work practices that will transform your greatest weaknesses into supernatural strengths. If you recognize yourself in the individuator pattern, drop a comment below telling me your birth month and one way this intensity has shown up in your life. I want to build a community of people who understand what it means to be psychological pioneers. Because what I'm about to reveal about the other archetypal patterns will show you exactly which types of people you're meant to connect with, and which ones will drain your energy no matter how hard you try to make it work. The people who understand archetypal compatibility transform their relationships from struggles into soul connections. The ones who remain unconscious? They keep repeating the same painful patterns, wondering why love feels so difficult. Now let's explore the most misunderstood archetypal pattern. Those born in months beginning with 2. If you were born in February, you carry what Jung called the alchemist archetype. This is the pattern of the psychological transformer, the person who turns pain into wisdom, darkness into light, chaos into order. You know that strange ability you have to help others heal just by being present? That tendency to attract people in crisis? That feeling like you're meant to transform suffering but sometimes get overwhelmed by the weight of it? You're not imagining this. Research in depth psychology shows that alchemists have heightened mirror neuron activity. You literally feel what others feel more intensely than most people. Your nervous system is designed for empathetic transformation. But here's what conventional psychology gets wrong. They label this as codependency or people-pleasing. Jung discovered it's actually an archetypal function. You're not broken, you're performing a sacred psychological role. The alchemist archetype appears in every culture throughout history. The healer, the wise woman, the shaman, the therapist, all expressions of this numerical frequency. You're part of an ancient lineage of consciousness workers. Once you understand that your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's your superpower, everything changes. Instead of trying to protect yourself from feeling, you learn to transmute feeling into wisdom. But here's the shadow side that most alchemists never recognize. You're unconsciously attracted to people who need healing because it gives you a sense of purpose. But this creates exhausting relationships where you're always the giver. The truth is, healthy relationships for alchemists involve mutual transformation. You need partners who can hold space for your depth while also bringing their own healing gifts to the relationship. Haven't you noticed how you can spot pain in others instantly? How you know exactly what to say to help someone feel understood? How you seem to attract people's deepest secrets and traumas? Jung's research revealed that alchemists have enhanced activity in the limbic system, the brain's emotional processing center. You're literally wired to process and transform emotional energy. From an evolutionary perspective, alchemists serve as the species' emotional healers. You're designed to help traumatized individuals return to the collective, to transform individual pain into collective wisdom. When you embrace your alchemist nature, you stop seeing your sensitivity as a burden and start recognizing it as a gift. You develop boundaries that protect your energy while still allowing you to serve your archetypal function. If you're an alchemist, here's your integration practice. Start charging for your healing gifts. Whether it's therapy, coaching, or simply being a wise friend, stop giving away your transformational energy for free. People like us, alchemists, often struggle with valuing our gifts because they come so naturally. We think everyone can do what we do. But the truth is, most people can't hold space for deep transformation the way we can. Here's a secret about alchemist compatibility. You're most fulfilled in relationships with other alchemists or with individuators who can appreciate your depth. You drain each other when paired with surface-level archetypal patterns. Jung observed that alchemists in conscious partnerships become exponentially more powerful. Two people who understand emotional transformation can create healing that ripples through generations. But that's just 2 of the 9 archetypal patterns. What I'm about to reveal about the remaining 7 will show you exactly which numbers you're meant to partner with, and which ones will leave you feeling emotionally starved no matter how much you give. Let's explore the most dynamic and misunderstood archetypal cluster. Those born in months beginning with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You've been told that personality is complex and unpredictable. But Jung discovered that these 7 numerical frequencies actually represent variations of 3 core archetypal families. If you were born in March, April, May, or June, you carry what Jung called the builder archetype. You know that drive to create something lasting? That need to see tangible results from your efforts? That frustration when others don't share your sense of urgency about progress? You're not impatient, you're archetypal builders. Your consciousness is designed to manifest ideas into reality. Research shows that builders have enhanced activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for planning and execution. If you were born in July or August, you carry the connector archetype. You know that natural ability to bring people together? That sense that relationships are the most important thing in life? That feeling like you're meant to create harmony but sometimes lose yourself in the process? Your need for harmony isn't weakness, it's your archetypal function. Jung found that connectors have heightened activity in the social brain networks. You're literally wired to create community and resolve conflict. If you were born in September, you carry the synthesizer archetype. You know that ability to see patterns others miss? That tendency to understand complex systems intuitively? That feeling like you're meant to bring different worlds together? Your complexity isn't confusion, it's your gift. Research in cognitive psychology shows that synthesizers have enhanced interhemispheric communication. Your brain literally connects information differently than most people. Here's where it gets fascinating. Jung discovered specific compatibility patterns between these archetypal families. Builders energize alchemists but drain connectors. Synthesizers complement individuators but frustrate builders. Once you understand your archetypal family, you can stop trying to force connections that aren't meant to be and start recognizing your natural compatibility patterns. But here's what changes everything about relationships. Most people are trying to connect at the surface level. When you understand archetypal compatibility, you can connect at the soul level from the very beginning. People like us, those who understand archetypal patterns, don't waste time on incompatible relationships. We recognize our tribe instantly and build connections that feel effortless and transformative. Individuators need partners who can appreciate their intensity without trying to change them. Alchemists need partners who can receive their healing gifts without becoming dependent. Builders need partners who share their vision for creating something meaningful. Connectors need partners who value relationship as much as they do but can maintain their own identity. Synthesizers need partners who appreciate complexity and can hold space for multiple perspectives simultaneously. Jung spent decades studying these patterns across cultures and found the same compatibility codes appearing consistently. This isn't cultural, it's archetypal. When you align with your archetypal nature and seek compatible partners, relationships become sources of energy rather than drains. You stop trying to fix people and start co-creating with them. If you're starting to recognize your archetypal pattern and want to understand exactly which numbers you're most compatible with, hit that like button. Because what I'm about to reveal about shadow work will show you how to transform your greatest weaknesses into your supernatural strengths. The people who do this work consciously create relationships that feel like magic. The ones who stay unconscious keep repeating the same painful patterns, wondering why love feels so difficult. Now we enter the most powerful part of Jung's archetypal research, understanding how your numerical shadow sabotages your relationships and your life. Here's what no one tells you. Every archetypal pattern has a shadow side that operates unconsciously until you bring it into the light. Your greatest strength becomes your greatest weakness when you're not aware of it. Individuator's shadow manifests as superiority or inferiority complexes. You either think you're better than everyone else or you feel like a complete fraud. Both are expressions of the same archetypal wound, the fear of being truly seen. Your shadow work involves learning to be vulnerable without losing your power. You need to practice revealing your uncertainty, your need for connection, your fear of being ordinary. Alchemist's shadow manifests as martyrdom or emotional vampirism. You either drain yourself helping others or you unconsciously drain others to fill your own emotional void. Your shadow work involves learning to receive as much as you give. You need to practice asking for help, setting boundaries, and recognizing when you're trying to heal others to avoid healing yourself. Builder's shadow manifests as impatience or control issues. You either become tyrannical in your pursuit of progress or you give up entirely when things don't move fast enough. Your shadow work involves learning to trust the process even when you can't control the outcome. You need to practice patience, flexibility, and finding meaning in the journey, not just the destination. Connector's shadow manifests as people-pleasing or conflict avoidance. You either lose yourself trying to keep everyone happy or you become passive-aggressive when your needs aren't met. Your shadow work involves learning to maintain your identity while creating harmony. You need to practice stating your needs directly, setting boundaries, and recognizing that conflict can actually strengthen relationships. Synthesizer's shadow manifests as analysis paralysis or scattered energy. You either become overwhelmed by complexity or you jump from project to project without completing anything. Your shadow work involves learning to choose focus without losing your ability to see patterns. You need to practice commitment, completion, and trusting your intuition even when you can't explain your choices logically. Jung discovered that shadow work isn't about eliminating these patterns, it's about integrating them consciously. When you work with your shadow instead of against it, your greatest weakness becomes your greatest strength. Individuators who integrate their shadow become authentic leaders who inspire through vulnerability. Alchemists who integrate their shadow become powerful healers who transform pain into wisdom without sacrificing themselves. Builders who integrate their shadow become visionary creators who manifest lasting change. Connectors who integrate their shadow become authentic community builders who create harmony without losing themselves. Synthesizers who integrate their shadow become master integrators who can bridge any gap between different worlds, ideas, or people. People like us, those willing to do the shadow work, become the most powerful versions of our archetypal patterns. We stop being victims of our unconscious programming and start being conscious creators of our lives. Here's your shadow work practice. For the next week, notice when your archetypal pattern shows up in its shadow form. Don't judge it, just observe it. Awareness is the first step toward integration. As you become more conscious of your archetypal shadow, you'll start recognizing it in others too. This will transform your relationships because you'll stop taking their shadow expressions personally. Now you understand why your life has unfolded exactly as it has. Every relationship, every success, every failure, all expressions of your archetypal pattern seeking recognition and integration. You're not just a person with a personality. You're a living expression of an archetypal frequency that connects you to the deepest patterns of human consciousness. This changes everything about how you see yourself and your place in the world. Jung's archetypal numerology gives you a framework for understanding not just who you are, but who you're meant to become. Every challenge you've faced has been your psyche's attempt to help you embody your archetypal pattern more fully. You have permission to be exactly who you are. Your intensity, your sensitivity, your need for progress, your desire for harmony, your complexity, these aren't flaws to be fixed. They're archetypal gifts to be embraced. When you align with your archetypal nature, you stop trying to be someone else and start being the most powerful version of yourself. You stop fighting against your deepest patterns and start working with them. Your relationships will transform because you'll stop trying to connect with incompatible archetypal patterns and start seeking your natural resonance. You'll attract people who appreciate your gifts rather than trying to change them. You're part of an ancient lineage of consciousness. Your archetypal pattern has been expressing itself through human beings for thousands of years. You're not alone. You're part of a vast cosmic pattern that's been unfolding since the beginning of time. Your path forward is clear. Embrace your archetypal nature, do the shadow work, seek compatible connections, and trust that your unique frequency is exactly what the world needs. People like us, those who understand archetypal patterns, are building a new kind of community. One based on deep recognition rather than surface compatibility. One where differences are celebrated rather than feared. This is just the beginning. Once you understand your archetypal pattern, you can explore how it shows up in your career, your creativity, your spiritual path, your family relationships, your life purpose. Right now, take a moment to acknowledge your archetypal pattern. Say it out loud, I am an individuator, or I am an alchemist, or I am a builder. Feel how it resonates in your body. Start noticing your archetypal pattern in action. Watch how it shows up in your relationships, your work, your creative expression. The more conscious you become, the more powerfully you can embody your gifts. Drop a comment below telling me your birth month and which archetypal pattern you recognize as yours. Let's create a community of people who understand that we're all expressions of cosmic consciousness seeking recognition and integration. If you want to dive deeper into archetypal psychology and discover how your specific number pattern affects your life purpose, your career path, and your spiritual evolution, you need to watch the next video. I reveal the hidden connections between your birth month and your soul's mission that Jung discovered but never published. The people who understand these patterns don't just change their lives, they transform into completely different people. They become living expressions of their archetypal gifts, and they create relationships and communities that feel like coming home. You've always known you were different. You've always felt connected to something bigger than yourself. Now you know why. You're not just a person. You're an archetypal being awakening to your true nature. Subscribe right now because this journey into archetypal consciousness is just beginning. And people like us, we can't stop now. We've tasted the truth, and there's no going back to unconscious living.